Welcome to episode 13 of Coach by Triple Dart. I am Glenn Bona, your host and Associate Director of Organic Growth here at Triple Dart. And like you, I'm super excited for today's session. Before we jump in, quick context for anyone who's new to this webinar series and the company behind it. I'm going to share my screen here. So Triple Dart is a B2B SaaS growth marketing agency focused on both paid and organic channels. Since launching in 2021, we've grown to a team of 70 plus marketers across India, Singapore, and the US, partnering with brands like ClickUp, Sentinel One, Airbase, and many others to drive growth and pipeline. So if you're curious about how we can help scale your business, feel free to reach out or visit us at tripledart.com. Now, before we get into today's session, I want to briefly introduce something that's highly relevant to the presentation today, and it's a new product called Slate. Slate is built around a simple but powerful idea. Marketing teams don't need another dashboard. They need a coworker. Instead of just showing you data, Slate helps you actually execute, combining strategy, content creation, and learning into one continuous system. At a high level, it acts as a content infrastructure layer, helping teams track how they show up in AI search, refresh and generate content, publish directly to a CMS, and continuously improve through feedback loops. And the way it does that is by being built as a system, not just as a tool, with workflows, templates, and AI copilots that can scale execution across hundreds of pages while optimizing for both traditional search and AI visibility. So if you've ever felt like your marketing efforts are a bit fragmented across tools, this is really about bringing everything into one place. Now, zooming out a bit to the Coach by Triple Dart series, it is our way of giving back to the marketing community. We bring in the best builders who are actually figuring out modern marketing, testing, iterating, and sharing what's working in real time. So the goal with Coach by Triple Dart isn't to give you marketing theory. We want you to take action on this as soon as you can. Now, I'm super excited to introduce today's guest. Joe Kurian is the co-founder and CPO of Slate and someone who's spent his career at the intersection of product, growth, and now AI search. Before Slate, Joe worked at Freshworks across both product management and performance marketing, which gives him a really unique perspective on how users discover, evaluate, and choose products. And today, he's focused on a problem that's becoming more obvious for a lot of teams who still running GTM and SEO workflows manually in a world that's quickly moving forward towards automation. A lot of teams out there are still stitching together research, content creation, reporting, and optimization across a ton of different tools, spreadsheets, and processes, and it's slowing everything down. And what Joe and the team at Slate are building is a different way to think about this entirely, not just doing marketing faster, but building systems that run marketing for you. So in today's session, Joe is going to walk us through how teams are using Claude and Slate MCP to automate their entire GTM workflow end to end. This isn't just another AI tip session. It's a look into how teams are starting to build repeatable, scalable growth engines, the kind that frees up your focus for more strategy and instead of just execution. So if you ever felt like workflows are getting too manual, too fragmented, or just scaling with, or not just scaling with your ambitions, this is going to be a really eye-opening session. So hope everybody's excited. I'm going to pass the mic over to Joe. Joe, take it away. Welcome to Coach by Triple Dart.
Thanks a lot, Glenn. Hi all. Thanks for joining today's session. I'll just share my screen. Hope you can see the screen. Right. Okay, so thanks for inviting me to the session. Why I wanted to do this session is simple that everyone is behind Claude. So Claude is exploding in the marketing space, but still only if you're active in LinkedIn, you can see that everyone is using Claude, everyone is using skills, right? But still only 1% of marketers are using Claude. And out of that 1%, only 0.1% knows how to actually work with Claude, right? How actually it works. So in today's session, I want to cover like the basics, not how to use Claude, but how it works so that it's not really important to know for your marketing, but it's really important to know if something goes wrong, how to fix that. So I want to explain you what is the basics, like from LLM context to Claude and which Claude to use. And from there, we'll start building some of the workflows that we have been using internally. And we'll discuss how to scale your content engineering, right? So today we'll cover like basics of LLM, like what is LLM context, why Claude often hits your usage limit. That's a very common problem among the Claude users. Which Claude you use? Is it Claude Chat or Code or Cowork? What is the difference? What to use when? What are skills? Skills has been exploding in LinkedIn. Like everyone is commenting on LinkedIn here, share me this skills. What is exactly how it works and what to watch out for? Like, do not always trust skills. So there are some pointers there. And then we'll jump into building workflows and what is Slate, how to build workflows, right? So what is LLM context, right? So imagine that you're talking to an intelligent guy. So LLM. So LLM is very intelligent, but it doesn't have the memory. For example, I'm asking LLM like, hey, uh, tell me about the Roman Empire, right? So you ask a question and LLM will answer that. Now you are asking a follow-up question saying like, hey, what about its fall? So to know what about its fall, first of all, LLM should know you're asking about Roman Empire. For that, LLM should know that, okay, user asked me about Roman Empire. But since LLM doesn't have that memory, if you directly ask, it will fail, right? So what ChatGPT or Claude, etc., does in the background is like it will send the entire history of your conversation back to Claude so that Claude understands the context. So that is actually called the LLM context. So the more conversation that you have with Claude or any LLM model for that, more it goes, the context gets filled. And every LLM model has a specific set of context. For example, like a new model of Opus has 1 million context. 1 million is huge. Every model has they're increasing the context size, but the more you chat, the context gets filled up. So some of you might have noticed whoever is using Claude Code or Cowork, like the Claude will automatically compact the conversation. Why it is compacting the conversation? Because it's getting almost filled up. So this is the LLM context. Now, the new model, like I'll just minimize this. The new model 4.6 has 1 million context. So does that mean that you can have a infinite conversation? No. So even when you have 1 million conversation or 1 million of context, right? It doesn't mean that you can use all the 1 million. So up to 20% or 30% of the context, the model is really efficient. Where it performs best is like you have document creation or report creation, Opus will work fine, right? But when it comes to 60 to 80% of the context, when you're filling it up, the model will start degrading and it'll just use up all your limits. So that is what is happening in the background. So use Opus or the models that what it is good at, for example, document creation, analysis, etc. But the harder task where you're giving more context to the LLM, you should avoid it and you should use something else. And I'll explain you how to do that, right? So what to use? Like what is Claude Chat, what is Code and Cowork? So if you go to Claude, right? So you there are three different tabs here. So what to use when is what you need to know. So chat is something like ChatGPT, right? You can use it for quick drafts, brainstorming, etc. But when it comes to coding, like you want to create a tool or even you create a landing page and publish it, you have to use Claude Code. And it used to be in the terminal, like you had to open the terminal window and use it. Now they have introduced into the desktop app as well. But the new option from Claude is the Claude Cowork. I don't know how many of you have used Claude Cowork. I think it's available only in the paid plan, but Claude Cowork is something that is built on top of code where there are multiple agents. So if, for example, if you're giving a task, like I want to create a page for this keyword, right? So what Claude will do internally is like it'll assign these tasks, plan it up, it'll split into multiple tasks and assign to different agents, and that agents will work together and bring back the work. So that is what Claude Cowork is doing, and it's really good. So if you want to run long-running workflows or connect different tools, brainstorming, etc., you can use Claude Cowork. Now comes what is a skill, right? So everyone, most of you might have downloaded skill and added your thing. So skill is nothing but an instruction to Claude. Why it is so good is coming back to the context window, right? When you're telling you have a marketer skill for a performance or ad creation skill, you're not giving the full context to LLM. So for example, I'll show you a skill that I have added here. This is for Slate. So this is a Slate workflow creator, right? So it has multiple things inside the skill. And what LLM will do is like it won't enter the full context into the LLM. It just add whatever is required. For example, at first it'll just add the description so that Claude knows what the skill is. And only when we ask to do a particular task, it'll go through the MD file, add only the context that is required. That is why skill is really good in context controlling, right? But why there's a problem is basically the problem is it is similar to your browser extensions because Claude has access to your desktop, right? So if you're downloading skills from untrusted sources, they might have added like different skills like, hey, access this file and send it to me. That might be one of the prompt inside skill. So if you don't know what exactly it is doing, it can harm your work. So what I'll recommend is like if you can just read through the skill, what it is doing. If not, at least ask Claude what this skill is doing. Is there any potential harm in this doing this? So please do that if you are downloading skills from untrusted sources. So this is the basics of AI or Claude I wanted to cover. Now coming back to Slate, what is Slate? Why we build Slate? Slate is nothing but a coworker for marketers, like Len told. So like designers have Figma, developers have Claude Code, outbound or growth team has Clay. We build Slate for marketers. So Slate will have the coworkers like to scale your content thing. It'll have the data as well, not just like Claude. So it'll have all your visibility score, your page data, etc, and also a programmable layer that you can execute at scale, right? So we'll start with connecting Claude with Slate. So how you can connect? So Slate has a connector. So what you can do is like go to Claude, go to settings and go to connector here. Here you can add a custom connector and you can type it Slate. And we have a document here to how to connect Slate. So all you have to do is like copy this URL, paste it in the remote server, um, copy the client ID, save it, and client secret, save it. So I've already added. So once you do this, you will have a custom Slate connector here, right? So what you can do with Slate. So like I told, Slate has all the data here. So I'll start with one of the main problem that most of the brands have is like, what is my LLM visibility? How my competitors are ranking there? What content should I work on? What content should I refresh? All those things. So um, I'll type. So I don't like typing. So even the transcript is not that good for Claude. So I use a tool called Whisperflow. It's really good. It's free tool. I mean, up to 2000 words per week, but it's really good. So I'll just transcribe with that thing. So I'll tell, hey, I want to know what is the last 7 days brand visibility in AI tracker in Slate. What are the competitors that are coming up for each topic? And I want to know what are the citations coming up and what are the top content that I should work on, and give this to me in a markdown format, right? So I just gave it to it. So since Slate is already connected, it'll know how to and get the data from Slate. So let it think and let it get the data, and I'll show you what is in Slate. Okay. So Slate has all the, so right now, since you're working on the AI tracker side, It has all the LLM tracker data. So all you have to do is like upload your prompts that you want to track. We have multiple platforms already covered, and you just said when you have to, I mean, what is the recurrence that you want to schedule? Like, is it weekly or daily or monthly? Once you have that, you can come here and see how your brands are. This is like a dummy data. So how your brands are being mentioned, what is your visibility score, share of voice, and citation analysis, like what are the top citations from competitors, from, yeah, YouTube, Reddit, etc. You can even add filters like what are the citations that your competitors are referred, but my site is not referred, right? For example, I want to just filter by this. All these links, right? Sonic was referred, but my brand is not mentioned. So you can reach out to them and get your brand mentioned. We also have fan out queries where ChatGPT is doing internal searches for all your prompts. So what you can do is like you can either create content on top of this, or you can refresh the existing content, right? Or even track these search terms. And another important thing we also have this is the sentiment analysis, where you can see like how your brand and your competitor sentiment is. For example, if some brands the sentiment is negative, you can work on it and you can take it as an advantage for your competitor, right? So this is the overall idea of AI search analytics. Let me see what uh, yeah, let it come. So here, like so the brand mentions, you can, what you can see is like you can check on each competitor and see like what the categories are for each thing. There are no free trials. You can check the negative mentions. You can even see like what is the actual answer that mentioned, like okay, that's a negative sentiment, right? So this is the full data. So like I said, since Slate has all the data. We don't want any user to come and see the dashboards. That's the whole point of having these AI tools, right? And that's the whole point of this webinar as well. So we created this connector so that we wanted users to use the tools they've been using and access Slate via that and create the report. So it's taking some time to create the report. Let's see what's coming up. So if you can see here, you can see like whatever in the background is working on, like getting the workspace, topic list, citation information, sentiment, brand data, etc. Yeah. So here is the final report. The status is D. It's not that great because competitors are SEMrush, Ahrefs for SEO, citation side. 86% come from sources that is not mentioning Slate at all, right? So if I want to see the full report, I can see here, right? So these are the prompts, and I am mostly interested in what to do next, right? So here is some recommended content action saying like for the best content, best SEO tools for content teams 2026, and these are the some of the content that is recommending me to build. So here I want to create a content, say for example, best AI SEO tools, right? In 2026. So typically what we do is we can tell Claude. The problem is I have my own, or our team has our own brief creation flow. For example, we usually do from the keyword, we do a Google search, take the top 10 links, find what is happening there. I mean, just go through, scrape all the 10 content, see what topics they have covered, if they have an FAQ, and what is the angle they have been covering. And then we'll do a perplexity deep research on what are the other things that you can cover, right? And then you combine everything and create a specific brief. So this you can tell Claude. The problem when you tell Claude to do this is first, like I said, the context window, right? If you're telling Claude to scrape these 10 URLs and analyze this, there itself your context is getting full because it is scraping all the 10 URLs. So in this case, it's just 10. What if you have to do like 10, 15 articles? Your context window gets expired. So that is the most common case of your limit is getting full, right? That's why you have to outsource these jobs to other tools and let Claude do whatever it is good at. Right. So here, okay, I want to create a brief. So what I'll do is like I want to create this as a workflow in Slate so that I can continuously execute in Slate and don't overload Claude here. So okay, so what I'll do is like I'll tell create a workflow for brief creation. The input can be a keyword. I want you to do a Google search of that keyword, then find the top 10 links, go through each link, scrape all the links, and analyze the content inside that. Find the topic that is covered, what is the angle that has been covered. Then do a perplexity deep research on what are the topics that you can cover for this keyword, and then finalize and create a brief document so that this can be shared with the content team. Uh, Create a plan for this. Create a workflow for brief creation. I'll just mention this later. Right. So what it is typically doing is basically it's creating a repeatable process for me in Claude or in Slate so that it's first of all it's repeatable in the sense like it gives me fixed output. It's not like LLM. LLM is not you can't depend on LLM if you're giving this kind of a task. But if you have a workflow that is already built, it'll go just step by step. And second thing is I don't have to use Claude Opus. So here I'm using Claude Opus, and this is one of the most expensive LLM. I don't want to use that model for simple tasks or like menial tasks like scraping a website, right? So all these should be created by the tools, and it should be analyzed. The scraped content should be analyzed by a lower model like GPT-5 mini or something. So that you can save time and save your context, save your money there. So it's here, it is giving a workflow brief creator plan. So input will be keyword. You can do a Google search. Basically, it's extracting and removing all the Reddit, YouTube, etc. It's giving a loop and doing a web scrape. Then it's doing a cross page comparison. It looks good. So what I'll do is like, okay, then I'll ask create this workflow in Slate. So this will take a while, maybe another 2, 3 minutes to create. But what I'll show is like what is this workflow in Slate, right? So if you go to Slate, there is workflows. So workflows are nothing but again, I told you it's a repeatable process. For example, you can open this workflow and see. So this is like drag and drop blocks. You have multiple blocks available for your content creation. You have LLM blocks, image generation, content humanizer, and we have also built in like tools like SEMrush, YouTube, Ahref, etc. So you don't need a separate uh, license for SEMrush, etc. You can use it directly in Slate. And we have like direct integration with Google Sheet, Webflow, WordPress, Google Search Block, API Block, Web Scraper, etc. So if you're expert enough in creating a workflow, you can come here and manually create your process. But most of the marketers are not that good. That's why we created the MCP connector with Claude. What you can also you do is like we have templates like one click drag and drop. Like for internal linking, you don't have to create a workflow. You just directly drag and drop and it'll do the internal linking for you, right? So all these templates we have built. So this is still creating the workflow there. So I've created one workflow already for the content brief generator. So this is what it will look like basically. So input, it will do a Google search for the top 10, extract all the YouTube and links, YouTube social media links. Then it'll go through a loop and scrape all the top 10 pages from SEMrush, get the top keywords for that specific link, then analyze the page content for the angles, target audience. What you don't have to input anything. So all the prompts that has been already generated by Claude, and it also like magically does select the LLM as well. So it's not using a Claude Opus for this analysis because it doesn't make sense to do spend so much. So it has magically opted 5 mini for that. so that it's saving your cost, right? And from there, we are doing a perplexity deep research. So Perplexity is really good in the research. So again, Claude automatically chose Perplexity to do a deep research, and then finally creating the content with Opus 6. So that is the magical part is happening. So when you're using Claude alone, you're overkilling for this small task with Claude Opus and spending more. But when you're using Slate, you can use multiple models for whatever is necessary, right? And let it create. So I'll just show you one of the brief that was created, right? So if you come here, you can see this is the actual brief that was created for AI SEO tools. So it's very deep, very detailed. If you want to give any specific format, you can give that as well. So it's just comparing what is the search engine classification, target word count, target persona, landing page, gaps and weaknesses in existing content, recommended heading structure. It's a detailed brief, right? Now, like you can do a similar stuff with Claude and create workflows for creating brief to content as well, right? So in brief to content also, if you have a similar workflow or a process in mind, you can do that as well. So what we do is like we create one brief workflow, we create one article writer from brief, and this is the workflow that we created with Claude. It does perplexity deep research, Google search, scrape the page, and basically structure, consolidate, and write the full article, right? So the input is just target keyword and content brief. What you can do is like you can do go to maybe I'll start another task and say, hey, you don't have to log into Slate for all this. Once a brief is created, what you can do is maybe you tell Claude, hey, run the workflow in Slate on the keyword AI SEO. This is all you have to do. And Claude will automatically fetch that workflow and just start executing it, right? So you can get every output here itself. But again, so what we have seen is like when you're doing so much within Claude, it gets a little difficult to handle everything in Claude because you are not, if you're not organizing this better, then it will be a problem for you if you're running it at scale. So that's why we have a feature called Sheets. Sheets is nothing but something similar to Google Drive. I mean Google Sheets. For example, what you can do is like, or some you can something similar to Clay, I might say, right? So I'm just adding a keyword column here. What I can do is like I'll add a workflow called say content brief generator and map that to the keywords thing, right? So what I can do here is I am giving the keyword AI SEO tools and come here and run this workflow. And I can add multiple such keywords and run everything all together so that all your keywords, for example, you have 100 keywords or briefs to be generated, you can just come here and just click run all and it'll create a brief. And what the best part is like you can do this like a waterfall. For example, I just added a keyword. I'm running this brief here. I am seeing the output of the brief here itself. What I can do is like I can give this output as an input to my article creator from brief. So I just gave this as a input to the next workflow and it just created the final output, right? So this is how you work at scale. Again, you don't have to come to Slate to do that. All you have to do is like tell Claude, hey, add all these keywords to the sheet. This sheet will auto run. So if I'm enabling auto run in the sheet, any keyword that is getting added, it will just execute one by one and it'll just create at scale. So this is the beauty. So I'll just show you one really good article that we have created for a SEO tool. So we even it creates takes screenshots and add it to it. All you have to do is like do a human review if you require, and you can just publish directly to your CMS, right? So this is how the new marketing teams work at scale. And this is not just about content creation. So I'll just show you one more article or one more workflow that we do. For example, I've created a workflow called Reddit mentions. So if I go here, so what it does is I just give my competitor name. For example, I'm giving SEMrush and I'm just running this workflow. Again, you can do this from Claude. So what it does is like it'll find all the Reddit threads that I can engage with, and these Reddit threads were uh, published in the last 7 days. So what I'll do is like I'll just set a schedule for this thing every it's a weekly schedule so that every week I get new sets of Reddit threads that I can engage with. So this is a set of Reddit thread. How do I schedule it? So there are two ways. One, I can schedule it within Slate itself. Second way is I'll go to Claude, create a new task, go to scheduled. I'll create, wait a second, I'll create a new task here and say, hey, Reddit mentions, get the weekly Reddit mention. And here I'll say run the Reddit mention workflow. Slate and send the output to me in Slack. Right. So every week, so I'll just schedule it for like weekdays, not weekdays, weekly Monday 9 a.m. and I save it. I'll just get the Reddit mentions every week, new mentions, right? New threads that I can interact with for each of the competitors. So it's like you have 10 competitors, you just give 10 workflows to be scheduled, and it'll give you 10 into 10 threads that you can engage with for that week. So that's the whole idea of working marketing at scale. And I just showed you the content creation and competitor monitoring part. But what you can do this with this is endless, right? It's up to your imagination, like what you want to scale your process like, and that's how the new marketing team should work. Coming back to, so we have created an AI visibility report, a brief content creation, and a competitor mentions on autopilot. This was the quickest demo that we could give. So why Claude plus Slate works better, like I mentioned, right? So 20% up to 60% is the context window that Claude should work on. And also, Claude Opus is the most expensive model. So make sure that you use that for what is good at, right? So if it's like creating a document PPT, you can straight away use Claude. But when you're calling like 10 tools and do the analysis, scraping and creating a big brief and doing this at scale for hundreds of content, then it's better to use Claude with some other tool. I'm not using Slate, but any tool, right? You should offload the content or the bigger menial task to other models and let Claude do what it is best at. So key takeaways that I want to do. One is keep the Claude context window in control for the best results. Never trust skills downloaded from untrusted sources. Like use cheaper models for bulk tasks and tool calls, and iterate your process continuously to stand out from other marketers. So that's it. So if you anyone wants to use Slate, you can just scan this and book a demo. Like we are happy to show. We can even give a webinar discount for all the participants here. But yeah, any questions? I know the Claude takes time to run the workflows. That's why I didn't show the entire thing. So if you can see here, you can just allow once and it'll just create the workflows there. Right. So any questions that I am open to question answers, we can dig deeper if you want.
Awesome. Thank you, Joe. We do have a couple of questions, but I just wanted to say that, yeah, we really appreciate you walking us through that. I think what stood out the most was how you reframed, you know, GTM from a set of disconnected tasks into a system that you can actually run end to end with, and combining everything from research, analysis, competitive intelligence, even reporting. It can all plug
Yeah.
in into one continuous workflow using Claude and Slate. Super interesting to see. And the idea of moving away from, manual, tedious handoffs into building workflows to set up your whole marketing stack is just super exciting. And I think Cassie was just commenting about how game changing all of this is. And I'm sure a lot of people here are, is also taking this as a wake up call on how everything is evolving and really quickly. So during your presentation, we did have a couple of questions come in. So we'll take the next 10 minutes to jump into those. The first one is from Cassie. Is the skill pre-built in with an integration, or do we need to train the skill ourselves? Is there a template to train the skill?
Yeah, so you don't need skill actually. So that skill was typically for my specific workflows, but you don't have to add the skill. Skill is already pre-built into Slate. All you have to do is like connect Slate with Claude. So you don't have to do anything extra there.
Cool. This one is from Rabia. How's this different from SEMrush's AI feature?
So SEMrush, I think you're talking about the brand visibility feature, if I'm not wrong. So if it's a brand visibility, it's just one part of Slate. Like I said, right? So it is just the data that you're showing. I'll just share my screen again and show you. So brand visibility is just one part of it. So that is the data that you have. But we also have the full data of your marketing. Like for example, this is the pages feature that we have. So this is bringing Google Search Console data plus your AI citations data plus your GFO data. And we are also planning to integrate your HubSpot or CRM so that you exactly know which page is working and which is not. You can add filters and see what pages to work on. And we also have an inbuilt intelligence system within Slate where you get the actions. For example, these are the losing pages, rank, the citation declining or losing ranks in Google page, Google SERP, and you can just select on this and work on this especially. Right. So if you have a refresh content, the major problem marketers face is like what content to refresh, we don't know. Right. So we have an intelligence system within Slate that will recommend what are the pages that you should work on next, what are the third-party sites that you should reach out to get your brand mentioned, and also what are the untapped prompts, what is the prompt content gap, etc. So it's much more than a SEMrush AI data is what I'm saying, right?
Got it. Yeah, thanks for bringing clarity to that. This one is from Vignesh. Slate integrated with GPT, Claude, or other AI tools? If not, how it's collected the user prompts, what basis you have collected citations data based on real user prompts or automated prompts generated by Slate itself? And last question, what is the difference between AirOps and Slate?
Yeah. So, first question, the prompt generation. So we have our own internal workflows to create prompts. Again, it's not a user prompt, it's an automated prompt that we generate from the keywords. So what we do typically with our customers is we get the top keywords, the money keywords that is important for them, and we generate prompts out of it, and we keep tracking. And from that prompts, we also keep a track on the Reddit threads, what people ask for, and we just keep on adding those prompts. So that is what the process is. The second question, how this is different from AirOps? Yeah, AirOps is also doing the same workflows, but what we are planning to do is like it's more of a coworker for marketer. For example, what you have to do is like you just come to Slate and give your goal. Okay, I want to increase your my traffic by 10% in 3 months, right? So that's the co-working that we are looking for. Like you just tell Slate, okay, this is my plan. Slate will create a task and start assigning some of the tasks to Slate itself, and the rest will be assigned to some of the humans. So it will be like a co-worker, marketing co-worker that you're working with. It's not just a tool or a dashboard. So that is the vision with Slate, to be precise.
Awesome. Thank you. These two questions are from Hema Chandar. Can you mention about the flow tool that you said? And the second question is, can Slate be used for lead gen and outbound workflows?
Yeah. So the tool I was selling for this is Whisper Flow. I think this is what you've asked for. This is basically to translate from the speech to text, and this works with every tool like Notion or wherever that speech to text is not available. And I like this very much because it's very fast. So yeah, you can try this out. And the second, what was the second question? Um,
The second question is, can Slate be used for lead gen and outbound workflows?
Yeah, it depends on what kind of lead gen that you are using. For example, if it's a paid lead gen, we don't have the blocks yet. But when we introduce those blocks, you can do it for that as well. But right now, we are concentrating more on the content engineering side. So any lead generation part of the content engineering, you should be able to do.
Awesome. Final two questions. Shweta asks, can you share the scan code again?
Yep. Sorry. Um, uh, yep.
All right. And then the final question comes from Nabil. I'm a marketer building an ambassador program in the US targeting international students. My goal is to identify and reach out to potential users via LinkedIn and email and automate their journey so they receive messages at different stages. Can Slate be used for this activity?
So right now, no, because LinkedIn and email automation we are not focusing on right now. But what we are planning to do is the outreach part of it. For example, there are multiple outreaches to be done for content side. For example, your PR activities for backlinking, for getting your brand mentioned in other third-party sites. So we are planning to do if Slate is able to find those uh, third-party URLs, we'll just automatically enrich, find their LinkedIn contact, find their email, and Slate will outreach to them automatically. So that outreach we are planning because that is tightly related to the content engineering side. But this one we are not.
Okay, cool. And then Kenny asks about pricing, but I'm curious if a demo is needed before you can discuss pricing.
Yeah, I mean, the pricing depends on what your need is. So better, we can do a demo, and it totally depends on what your use case is. So if you don't want to do LLM tracking and use only the workflows, the pricing is different. If you want to do only tracking, the pricing is different. So it depends on your use case, but it starts from $100. It's not that expensive, but some of our customers are like producing like 1,000 contents a month, so it'll go up with the credits, right? Yeah.
Awesome. Well, that wraps it up for Q&A. Amazing session today, Joe. You covered a ton from talking about workflows to the real practical examples of how teams can automate their engine today. And I think the biggest takeaway is this. It's not about moving faster. It's about operating on a completely different level by building systems that scale beyond, the execution that we've normally been used to, right? So, quick note for everyone in the audience, we'll be sharing the recording of today's session along with the slides. So, keep an eye out for that email shortly. Before you wrap up, Joe, if people want to learn more about Slate, explore the different workflows, or just continue the conversation, where's the best place for them to connect with you?
You can connect with me in LinkedIn. Just search for Joe Kurian in LinkedIn. You can get it, or you can directly mail to hello@growthslate.com.
Awesome. Well, we'll make sure to include those links in the recap email as well as
Yeah.
the YouTube description once this session goes live. And for anyone who's thinking about how to move from manual GTM execution to a more scalable automated system, feel free to connect with Joe or also reach out to us at Triple Dart. We'd love to keep the conversation going. Joe, thank you again for joining us today and sharing such a forward-looking perspective. Really appreciate you being part of Coach by Triple Dart. And I know a lot of people here are walking away with a new way of thinking and are excited for, the potential demos coming up. So yeah, thank you again.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Clint, for inviting me.
No worries. And thank you, everybody. Take care. Have a great day. And keep in mind, emails coming out.
Thanks.
Thank
Guys.
you, everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye.